Hello, hello, hello. A warm welcome from Team Empower. My name is Sushil Mungekar. I am a founder and CEO of Empower, the organization which relentlessly work on nurturing entrepreneurial mindset, design thinking framework, life skills among school children such as you. And we are so excited and glad and delighted that you guys have decided to register for Behind the Suit. I'm sure this process is going to overwhelm you. It's going to give you a lot of exciting experience and something which you are going to brag to your parents, your friends, and your schoolmates and all. We at Empower believe in three important things. Number one is this very age group, your age group, which is grade 6, 7 to grade about 12, are the powerhouse of ideas. You guys have great ability to think beyond obvious. You have an ability to connect dots, think out of the box, and that is something which is there because you don't confine yourself with failures. You don't think that if this goes wrong, what happens. So you have that ability to think completely differently. So that's number one. Number two is during your school pressures, your exams, your subjects, and all these things, you got a very little time to actually work on your creative ideas and build around them. So that takes a back seat. And a third thing is if someone gives you tools and gives you a platform to sharpen your creative thinking and apply that to solve real life problems, then you know what, you can just crack that. And with these three beliefs, we therefore thought that we should bring this platform of Behind the Suits to you. So without further delay, let me just jump into what this Behind the Suit is. And naturally, though the name sounds very familiar with the music band, the famous music band, it's not that. It's about the process of solving real life problems of corporates. So with that, let's jump into Behind the Suits. Okay. In today's session, we are going to look at four important things. We are first going to talk about what this BTS is all about. Then we are going to talk about the challenge statement for today. Which is that corporate and what that challenge which we are going to solve. And then for solving this challenge, in the third section, we are going to look at some tools, some ideas how to solve this, and that entire section is going to help you to solve this problem in a better manner. And then, of course, in the last section, we'll understand what needs to be submitted and all. Remember, this is a very small window kind of a project. It's about only 18 days, so you have to work quickly and get to the answers. To submit that. Okay, so let's look at what Behind the Suit. As I said in the beginning itself, it's the platform for you guys to apply your creative thinking for solving real life problems. And these problems are not fictitious. These are real hardcore problems which we have got from corporates and famous brands because they want to understand how you guys think, and therefore that is something which is very important for them as well. So there are two components. One is you guys who are going to use your creativity to solve these problems, and on the other hand, there are corporates who are also equally curious to understand how this generation next generation thinks about uh, their problems and what is the value that they can add about it. So we as Empower have brought both of you on one common platform where you get a chance to solve real life problems. They get a chance to understand the insights of how Gen X thinks, and this is absolutely free of cost. So the money is not a consideration for you. Apply into as many challenges as possible because that's the process will help you to enrich your creative thinking, sharpen your critical thinking skills, and so on and so forth. This is a process. So before you sit in the rocket, which is shown on the right hand side, we announce this kind of challenges quite often. So currently we have opened two challenges at this point of time, but this is what you will keep on seeing. That look at for the announcements all the time, something which will be communicated to your schools. Once that is done, then we define a challenge statement very particularly with the help of a corporate, that what exactly the problem statement and what the corporate wants you to solve. Of course, it has a deadline of about 18 days. You can submit your process anytime between these 18 days, and then corporate will actually look at this. We have specifically curated learning material for you to solve these problems. Naturally, in just 1 hour, we can't get you the entire dope of entrepreneurship, design thinking, and all. But you know what? What we have done, we have for solving this kind of a challenge, we have curated, identified specific tools that will really help you to solve this problem. Once that is done, you obviously submit your responses in the given forms and the platform. And once you do that, there's always a recognition. Corporate will go through each and every idea that you have submitted, and then they will make a judgment based on what ideas will really make sense to them, and stuff like that. So there are again lots of recognitions and rewards that you get. First and the foremost to my mind is you get a chance to understand how entrepreneurs think, to understand how these big brands which become big now, how do they think in this entire process. And that's very valuable. We see our brands and daily life, we see so many things, we hear about so many success stories and all. This is a chance for you to understand what is the thinking process goes behind building this brand to a level to what they are. The second thing is it's not about theory, it's about experiential learning. Because all the tools that we'll give you, you are supposed to use those tools for solving that problem. So you're going to practice this. So it doesn't remain a theory kind of a thing. You have to apply that. And once you apply, you will understand the power of those tools. You will understand the magnanimity of that problem that you have solved. And you yourself will be very proud that, you know what, I have solved X company's problem. And the last, of course, you'll get certification for participation. And those who are winning, voila, there is a prize for the top 3 winners. You get great amount of recognitions, and we also curate a team of about top 20, top 25 ideas depending upon what corporate wants, who get a chance to work with a corporate to take some of these ideas further. Now, isn't that cool? You'll get a chance to work on those ideas with a corporate to see whether these products can actually come into existence. So 3 years, 4 years down the line, when you will see these products actually in market, you'll say, you know what, I was part of the thinking process. And that's such a cool kind of a position that you can get into. So besides whether you get rewards, whether you get selected in top 3 and all, to my mind, it doesn't matter. What matters is the process that you go through, the learning that you get, the tools that you acquire to build that, and this entire satisfaction of, you know, working on solving someone else's problem, and, you know, telling them that we understand your business also. While saying that, tada, this is the attractive list of prices. You have Amazon 4th generation, 3rd generation, Bluetooth headphones lying there for someone to grab. For each challenge you solve, you get this kind of prizes. So make it a point that you give a serious try and win those gadgets, and not importantly for getting those gadgets, but more importantly to make it a point that your idea matters, right? So with that, let's get to the next section. So this is where we are going to now define what the challenge statement is. Pay attention, because this is a very crucial phase. Understanding what is the problem is almost 60-70% of solving the problem itself. If you go wrong in understanding the problem, then probably our solution will not be able to meet that. So this is where let's articulate what is the problem. The brand that we're going to talk today is Tada. That's again one of the leading conglomerate in education world. And without further delay, let me just open that. And I think you know that because it's Navneet. And we are going to look at what Navneet's problem statement is. But before we get into the problem statement, I think it's very important to understand where they're coming from. So let's understand a little bit about Navneet as a company. Okay, there we go. So for example, Navneet as an organization, it was built in 1915 and way back. I mean, probably you know, at your grandfather's age kind of a thing. And but since then it has been you know, a very versatile and a leading company. And besides building books and curriculum books for students, they have come up a lot of innovative ways in stationery market, be it notebook, writing stationery, that is your compass, pencils, and so on and so forth, canvas, which is a new product. So they have been always getting into this, a publishing as well as a dominant player in the stationery market. Okay, if you want to know more about Navneet, you can always go back on their website. It's www.navneet.com. Check the spelling, navneet.com, and you can get tons and tons of information. It's always better to go to the website and find out more about the brand, because that helps us to understand where they are coming from. Okay, but before we get into Navneet, I think let's also understand what is India's stationery market, because today's problem, we're going to focus more in terms of stationery. Now, India's stationery is a huge market. I mean, if you have to put a number, it's 75,000 crores to 1,25,000 crores. That's about 10 to 15 billion dollar industry. Huge market, and that is predominantly dominated by people like you, school-going children, and people like us, office-going people. So these are the two biggest usage of uh, stationery that we use, and also one of the leading product in that is notebook. The next specs which comes to close to that is all paper related stationery and stuff like that, but notebook contributes to the significant chunk of it, and that's how this entire market is all about. Okay, now let's get back to the challenge statement. Now in the challenge statement, imagine a role that you are a product manager newly joined in the Navneet company. Okay, and they have a headquarters in Mumbai. So this is where you are going to do, and being pandemic, you're not allowed or asked to travel to Mumbai, but you're allowed to actually come on a video conference and solve this problem. Okay, during this pandemic, there are a lot of changes which have happened in the stationery. I mean, the entire education has gone completely, through a transformation. Offline learning went to digital, online learning. So naturally, a lot of stationery requirements have also undergone change. Last about 18, 24 months, since the schools have moved primarily to online, there is also a big change in the stationery requirement. Okay, now this is something Navneet is completely aware about. I mean, not that they are not working about it, but they know that, and they want you also to know that there are a lot of changes which have happened. And frankly, you yourself would have noticed a lot of changes within you, within your siblings or your family or your friends. You would have seen that how stationery use has undergone change during pandemic. Okay, but now government is slowly coming back to opening the schools, and hopefully they open schools. We all are praying that schools get reopened as early as possible. But I mean, naturally, government is taking a cautious stand. But the talk of the town is by November, December. Don't take me as a government spokesperson. Don't hold me responsible for it. But the talk of the town is by, let's say, November, December, Jan kind of a thing. Hopefully, if the third wave doesn't come, the schools will reopen. Most of the schools are reopening in some part of the country even today. Given this, the shift has happened in last 18 to 24 months. Naturally, when the schools reopen, all this shift will just not vanish. This shift will remain, you know. And many people are saying that some component of online learning will also remain as we go back to the schools. In which shape, size, format, and all, we don't know how things will happen. Everybody is, putting the dart in the dark, but that's going to stay. So naturally, the stationary requirement which have evolved over last 24 months will also stay, and therefore we should be cognizant. We should be keeping that point in mind that these are the changes which will go in the future. And uh, naturally, company has a great ability to change the products and do a product development, uh, and the company which does that will be the market leader, because somebody who understands the pulse of the market, change the product, bring it back to the user, then user like it, and user says, wow, this is something which I wanted, and they buy that. So naturally, if Navneet is the company which does that, then Navneet will get that advantage. And being now you are supposed to be working as the product manager of Navneet, you have to always look at the interest of Navneet. So if you are agile, you are fast, and you can rapidly come up with those changes in the current stationary products, then you will help actually Navneet to grab more sale and more market share. And you also know that this segment is extremely sensitive to the price. I mean, take your example for that matter. 40 rupee notebook. I say, I have these kind of features, and I'll pay. I'll ask you to pay 60 rupees. Think twice. I mean, do I need to pay extra 20 rupees for this feature? You'll do that kind of an adjustment in your mind. You'll compare that, and you say, oh, probably I'll pay 10 rupees extra, but not 20 rupees. So that thought will go in your mind. And again, we are not talking about you as an individual. We are talking about the 75,000 crore market. Out of that, of course, notebook is a smaller subset, but still, in each of this product are price sensitive product, because these are essentials for people to learn, and therefore there is a limit to which what they can spend. So you can't be exorbitant, but at the same time, if you are adding value to the product, naturally people will pay to that, and we'll see what does that mean. Okay, and Navneet respects you as a creative thinker. I mean, they know what the power you have, you as a generation, the Gen Next, uh, your ability to think out of the box and think creatively. I think that is something on the table. You have now a meeting. Imagine you have a meeting with the CEO and the senior management, and come up with all different kind of product ideas in the stationery market. Naturally, you don't know what will sell, what will fly. You are new to the market, so you don't even know how much it takes to productionize this, how much it takes, what is the cost of that. You don't know all these things, but you are not supposed to bother about it. You have been told that come up with ideas which people will love, and if people love those ideas, probably they'll buy. How to make those ideas work, what is the cost and all, that's probably the CEO of Navneet will take care of it. You come up with idea and you say that, boss, this is a new idea in the stationery market, this is a new idea in the notebook, and there's a new feature that needs to be added, and if we add that, a 40 rupee notebook can be sold at 50 rupees. And if that is something which is there, then Navneet team will figure out whether they'll be able to manufacture in that rate, and so on and so forth. So that's what your job is. I mean, you have to come out with creative ideas, crazy ideas in the stationery market that are basically will change the pulse of the market, and the new age segment will actually buy that. Okay, so what you need to do is, what are the additional features that you will put in the existing products? Okay, the existing notebook or existing pencil or existing compass or existing canvas, what all things that you would put additionally? What are the distinct benefit because of this? That's a point number 2. What are the distinct benefits the user will get because of this feature? I mean, the features can't be just features. I mean, they should ultimately put to use for people. No, I mean, they should get a benefit out of it. And the third thing is, if suppose that is added, what according to you is the premium the customer will pay, the user will pay? The 3 important things: what additional feature that you will add, what benefit those features will give, and what is that additional price the user will pay for that. I mean, you will say that the feature is fantastic, but user will not pay, then that's not worth it, because in order to add that feature, there'll be a cost involved into it. So we'll come to that when we'll go to the learning session. So let's wear our thinking hats and get into this. Now we'll get into a deep dive into learning. I mean, you have understood the problem. Naturally, you will immediately wear creative hats and say that, I want to solve this problem. I don't need any more learning, set me free and all. By all means, you can do that. But the next about 30-40 minutes will help you to understand various tools to solve this kind of problem. So typically, if entrepreneurs are posed into this situation, or big brands like Navneet or any other brand are posed in similar kind of a situation, how will they work? What will they do? So you'll be able to get those tools, use those tools to solve this problem. And you know what? If you get those tools, one is you'll be able to solve this problem. But besides this, you'll be able to use this in your life into many other problems. So it's always advisable to go through this video, understand what these tools, and believe me, once you go through this, you will be fascinated with this tool. There's one such powerful ideation technique I'm going to talk about, and that's going to blow your mind. Mark my words, blow your mind. That's it. Okay, so without further delay, let's get back to where and what that is all about. Okay, so we are moving into a third section, acquiring tools and thinking skills, and that's what Empower is all about: assisting you, helping you to solve real life problems using the tools that we are giving. Out of all the various tools in entrepreneurship, design thinking and all, we have curated specifically and made a small capsule for you to just pick up those tools, use it, and voila, you will be able to come up with creative ideas of solving the problem, not only for Navneet, as I said, but for various other things that you do in life. Okay, to start, let me start with this question. I mean, we use toothpaste practically every day. I mean, some of us use twice a day. Mama scolds if we don't use it twice a day and all. Even my mama scolds me even at this age. So, and we use that daily, and often we use it. So beyond a point, we actually don't see a problem in that. I mean, it's perfect. I mean, there's a toothpaste, there's a toothbrush. We use that. We use it, and that's finished. I mean, it's a 5-minute job. But we never think that is there any improvement that we can actually do into it. If you start thinking about it, then probably you'll start thinking of various ideas. But we don't take that first step. We just are so used to that obvious. We say that, why do we need to improve at all? And therefore, we find this question a bit tricky. That do we really need an improvement? If I ask a question, plain simple question, most of you will say, "Oh, we don't need an improvement." I mean, maybe we can need improvement in the test and stuff like that. But do I really need to look at improvement in this entire process of cleaning teeth? And if you start thinking about it, maybe there's a chance that we will be able to come up with a crazy idea, even in this mundane, normal, stereotype work that we do every day and day out, twice a day, 365 days a year, and so on and so forth. Okay. For example, look at this picture on the left. Okay, we always have a problem in squeezing the tube and make sure that we have used the entire toothpaste in this for the last buck that we have paid. If I have paid 40 rupees, then I have used the 40th rupees worth of toothpaste out of it. But more importantly, at some point of time, it becomes very difficult to get that paste out of it. So there is a squeezer that if you can build, then that process becomes very easy. And for kids or for young people like us and all, it's still easy. But think of a situation of old people. For them, they find it extremely difficult. So if you have a squeezer kind of a thing, then it will get rolled automatically, and by that way you will be able to squeeze. So no pressure added. Do you think it's quite innovative? Do you think it is useful? And do you think people will pay for it? To my mind, answer to this all these three questions is yes, yes, yes. It's creative. People will use it, and people will pay premium for this kind of a thing. Okay. Look at the right hand side. You know how you can integrate the toothpaste and the toothbrush, where you have a toothpaste attached, so that you have some kind of a mechanism where toothpaste get pushed. So you don't have a toothpaste separate and a toothbrush separate. Actually, it becomes one unit. And maybe that's another point of looking at this entire thing. That no longer we have to sell toothpaste. I mean, some of these products came in some markets, some products became successful, some didn't. But this is a creative way of looking at the same process that we use day in day out. If you start thinking creatively, then you will come up with multiple ideas. I want to throw some crazy ideas on face of you, because that will actually open your mind towards thinking creatively. And again, these are very very simple, what I call a stereotype kind of a product. But look at how people have thought creatively and really changed the world. So are you ready? Let's go one by one. Okay, because innovators are the one who actually uh, build these ideas by challenging obvious and by addressing users pain points. So that is something which innovators and entrepreneurs keep doing. They build these ideas continuously by challenging obvious. I mean, if you don't challenge that obvious of toothpaste and a toothbrush, then you'll never come up with an idea. But the moment you challenge that, why do you need these two elements? Why I can't combine this? Or why, how beautifully I can squeeze the toothpaste so that I can get the final extraction out of it, and then that will solve the user's pain point. So let's look at some of these ideas that can actually throw. For example, uh, many a times, I mean, umpteen number of times we use candles, right? And once the candle is lit, then the wax actually goes completely, and it becomes a waste. Till the time somebody actually thought that, why don't I collect that wax at the bottom, and then I can reuse that candle just the way it was earlier. Look at this quite interestingly. And then one candle suffices everything. You don't have to buy many candles all the time. A very small way of thinking, but that virtually changed the entire paradigm of how we can actually reuse this candle and reuse the product. Look at, and this is the problem I face n number of times. Whenever I have pizzas, I cut that and then putting the hand down, lifting that one piece. If you have a bigger inches pizza, getting that piece out and eating and all becomes so messy. Or putting it in your plate and all. Till the time I saw this and I say, voila! I mean, this is something I would love to buy. Cut the pizza, you have that base, lift it, and then you can put it out there. Again, a very small thinking, but look at how user level thinking has gone into it. It solves the pain area of a user, and ultimately gives a great amount of satisfaction to the user by using creative ideas. Look at this. I mean, again, I identified with this because I get maximum scolding from my wife for spilling tea on the sofa that we have. But something like this, if you have this kind of a wooden or any kind of a material as a as an arm tray, then I can actually keep my tea out there, and while reading a newspaper I can actually drink tea, and it won't put any kind of a mark on the sofa also. Wonderful thought. But look at how simple things have simple thinking has gone into it to make a very creative use of stuff like that. I hope you like that. Books, when we read books, I mean, we have to hold it with 2 pages, and often, if there's a thick book, then you actually can't separate those pages because it becomes quite thick to hold. Till the time you actually have seen this thumb hole book page holder, so you actually press this inside, and you can easily hold it with one hand. You actually don't have to use another hand. A great amount of comfort for avid readers, and you can actually do that, especially at night when you read it like this, holding it with two hands. Instead of that, you just hold it with this. It becomes so much easy to hold the book. Butter knife. I mean, again, a similar simple problem. I mean, many a times butter you actually take away out of refrigerator, and it's pretty cold, and then you have to warm it. You have to keep it on another warm vessel. I don't know how many of you do that actually. But till such time, somebody actually told me that why don't you have a self-hitting knife? So you actually put that knife in the butter melt, and then you can take that. Wonderful thought gone into it. Definitely solves the problem, pain area of people have, and it's a small innovation. Now, how we are improving a product, how we have improved the candle stack, or the toothpaste squeezer, or the knife. Look at additional thinking which has gone into it, which has improved the product. Now, if I have for a normal knife, if I'm giving $20, if somebody says that give me $30 for this knife, I'll be more than happy. So I've almost paid a 50% premium on the price, but I love the kind of a functionality, because this is the problem I face day in day out. I'm sure most of you also would be facing, unless you are not fond of butter. Okay. Cheetos, I mean, all those who love Cheetos and Kurkures and Lays and all this stuff. I know, I mean, if Lays and Kurkures you finish in one sitting, but many of the times it so happens that we don't finish in one sitting, and once you keep it, they get very soggy and all, because it's supposed to be airtight. Till such time you actually get this bag rezipper, and that product is already available in the market. You rezip that so that it again remains airtight, and you can actually save Cheetos for 2 or 3 servings, or save Kurkures for 2 or 3 servings. I'm not again promoting brands and Kurkures for children to eat. Please pardon me. I'm just giving you example. Again, don't go back to your parents and say, "Sir told us to eat Kurkures and all." They'll come and slap you. But that's not the objective, right? So if you look at all these examples, and there are many more examples. If I start talking about it, probably I'll have to spend another 2 hours in just giving you these kind of examples. But if you look at this, many of such innovation or innovative ideas that we didn't know that we needed. Okay, nobody thought of it, but somebody sitting at the back really thought that why can't I give this which will solve the pain point. So otherwise these were not needed. Only if you are forced to think creatively, only if you are forced to think what are the pain points, then you start looking at some of this thought process. And therefore the question comes to our mind, or at least my mind, that how one actually can think of this kind of ideas. I mean, is there any method in this madness? Is there any, I mean, is it like complete crazy kind of a thing, or is there any structured process of thinking of creative ideas? And good news for you is there is a great method for building a structure in this madness. You can structurally think creatively. Okay, good word, structurally think creatively, and that's something which we are going to do in this session. And I'm again telling you, you're going to love the method that we are going to talk about. So 2 questions asked: can I think creatively? And if yes, how do I think creatively? The answer to the first question, yes, you can think creatively, because I am yet to see I mean, many of the times people say that left brain is analytical, right brain is creative. So therefore, you are a left brain, you are right brain, and all. My simple question and simple argument is, I am yet to find a person with half the brain. Everybody has both the brains. What does that mean? That means that everybody has a creative element in them. It's only the question that we don't use it quite often. And if you start using it, you start sharpening it, then you will actually get those skills. I mean, everybody has a writing skills, but the moment you start writing, you will actually get those skills. If you never write till the age of 7, you will never understand how to write and all. It's something similar to creativity as well. If you start thinking creatively, if you make your brain used to think creatively, then naturally you will be a creative person. Each individual on this earth is creative in some way or the other. It is only the degree of that brain we use, that power of brain that we use. Many of the time we don't use it, and that's why we believe we are not creative. So just to put a full stop to entire discussion, yes, everybody can think creatively. You, me, every individual, irrespective of whatever marks that we get in math, science, and all these things, doesn't matter. All of us can think creatively. Then come to the next question: is how do I think creatively? And to think creatively, as I said, there are many methods, there is a structure, and we are going to talk about one such method. But before we get into that method, let me just put a small interesting riddle to you. I mean, in front of your screen, you can see uh, there are three boys watching the match, the grey t-shirt, red t-shirt, and the white t-shirt. And naturally, if you see this, white t-shirt fellow is not able to see the match because there's a wall which is coming in front of him. A red t-shirt fellow and a grey t-shirt fellow, both of them are able to see the match. And do you see a problem in this? If I ask this question to you, you'll obviously say there's a problem. And what's the problem? The problem is white t-shirt fellow is not able to see the match. Is that the problem? Yes, obviously that's a problem. And if I ask you a next question, how will you solve this problem? You'll obviously think in terms of what all I can do. And I know many of you will come back with a solution that why don't we rearrange those boxes? For example, this grey t-shirt fellow doesn't need a box. He has the height, so without a box he will be able to see. So take out a box from him and give it to the guy with the white t-shirt, and voila! Now all three of them are able to see the match. Have you solved this problem in this? Of course, yes, we have solved the problem, and kudos for coming up with this kind of an answer. Now all three of them have solved the problem, and all three of them are able to see the match, and this is a solution to the problem. Till a time I show you the next version of this, and that's going to blow your mind, and that's this. Now if you see this carefully, the way I define the problem is not that the white t-shirt fellow is not able to see the match. We define a problem saying that the wall itself, the non-transparent wall itself is a problem. And if you replace that non-transparent wall with a mesh, naturally you can't have a glass wall because if the wall comes it will break. So you have a metal mesh kind of a thing. Now if you see that all the three people will be able to see the match. And you know the beauty of this? We have eliminated those boxes. Because in the second version, if a shorter fellow than the white t-shirt fellow comes, are you going to keep on adding boxes? So you'll require lots and lots of resources. In this process, you don't need those resources. You have eliminated everything completely in one go. Now the beauty is all of them can sit and watch the match. All of them can sleep and watch the match, because then legs will not pain, and nobody wants to stand for about 90 minutes. And if it goes into extra half, then that's additional time. So look at the beauty. If you redefine the problem, and if you relook at the problem from the user perspective, you can come up with the idea that can solve problems in a different way. And that is what is the innovative approach that we are talking about. Think out of the box, think completely different, and eliminate the problem to the cause. And that you'll be able to do only if you talk to the user and understand what their needs are. Okay, makes sense? That actually brings us to some of the ideation techniques. I mean, there are various techniques that one can ideate about. If I can sit, if I sit talking about it, probably we'll spend another couple of hours in terms of doing that. I'm going to pick up one such method out of these and going to show it to you in a greater detail, and that is something which hopefully will remain long with you. And that method is known as scamper. If you have looked at an English dictionary and if you have tried to find out the meaning of scamper, you will not get that meaning, because scamper is not an English word, and scamper is not a word in any other language. Scamper is simply an abbreviation of SCAMPER, and each of these words stands for itself. Okay, so we're going to learn this, and then we're also going to learn how this scamper is going to be used for product innovation or coming up with creative ideas in a product. So let's define what this scamper is. In scamper, S stands for substitute, C stands for combine, A for adapt, M for modify or magnify or minify, P for put to other use, E for eliminate, and R for rearranging or reversing. Okay, so S is for substitute. In any of the product, whatever is used can I substitute that with something else and therefore improvise the product? That is how I like to think. When I think of C, which is combined, can I combine this product with some other product and then therefore build it? The classic example is a smartphone and a camera. Both of them have got combined, so the camera has now come in the smartphone, and virtually we use mobile phone today more of a camera, less of a talking device. I mean, you I know endless selfies that you take and the picture that you take, and immediately we take a picture. Half of the picture we delete. If the picture is good, we immediately put it on our Instagram and take likes and and so on and so forth. But so much so, if you go to a picnic and all, we don't take a camera except you are a avid photographer and all. Then you need that, but otherwise you don't take the camera. You actually just do it uh, through the mobile phone. I mean, that's the power of combine. So you can actually combine. Adapt is basically adjust to the new purpose. The product is done for X, but if I add additional purpose to that, then even that can be actually added. So you add in the product by adding one more feature. You have now made the use of the product for something else as well, and that is what adoption. Okay. Modify. Can you modify the product, the material that is used, the design of the product in such a way that it actually solves someone's problem and it gives the better benefit? Put to other use. Can this product be put to another use so that it actually opens up a new area of this thing? For example, using notebook as a diary. I'm just giving you a thought. Now, if you use notebook as a diary, then that opens a completely different segment altogether. We have put that to other use. Okay. Eliminate. There are certain things in the product which you can eliminate, and by eliminating, the product becomes a new thing. Most of the times, elimination helps you to reduce the cost and therefore reduce the price. So whatever was available at 40 rupees, if this feature was not used, eliminate that, and now the price has come to 35 rupees. So in that process, what has happened? If 100 people were buying, now it has become affordable. So 200 people have started buying. So you have reimagined the product and you have increased the sale. And the last one is R, rearranging some stuff in the product itself. And we're going to see the examples for this. But rearranging the product so that it gives you a new benefit, it reduces your pain, or it actually adds a new segment altogether. So Scamper, SCAMPER, all these things used in tandem, used together, help you to think of product innovation in all possible ways. That's the beauty. I can see what I can substitute, combine, I can rearrange certain things, I can put certain things to other use, I can eliminate certain things, I can adapt, I can modify. You can look at multiple ways of reimagining the product. And this particular framework helps you to reimagine the entire product. And we are going to actually do that to just blow your mind. And I'm going to take one of the most favorite examples of this generation. That's Kit Kat. Now, Kit Kat as a chocolate is a Kit Kat. You have that nice crunchy wafers inside, wrapped in the chocolate. You break that, and that's what Kit Kat. So Kit Kat break banta hai. So that's what they say. But if you, that's the original one. But if you substitute that, can you look at different flavors of Kit Kat? If you combine Kit Kat with something else, then can I do that? For example, here you are showing some orange thing. Can I adapt the entire Kit Kat to ice cream? And one of the classic examples here, I don't know how many of you are fond of, but I am certainly of the Oreo milkshake. How Oreo biscuit actually adapted them to a Oreo milkshake and Oreo ice cream and stuff like that. And so virtually they found out a different market altogether. How product has moved towards that. How multiply or magnify, minify. So one Kit Kat comes into this shape, but you can have a mini Kit Kat kind of a thing, just one bar. Many of the times, a big shampoo and a small sachet, you can modify that, or a big tomato ketchup and a small sachet of a tomato ketchup for one use kind of a thing. You magnify, you modify bottles, different bottles, big shape, small shape, all these things. A zipper or a sipper for the cold drinks and all. All these are great examples of how can you reimagine in terms of the quantity, the usage, magnify it, modify it, and stuff like that. Put to other use. Can Kit Kat be actually put as a jam or some kind of a thing where you can start using it, a chocolate kind of a jam kind of a thing, and then you are putting it for completely other use, which can be used as a bread spread kind of a thing. Eliminate certain things. So can you eliminate some of the aspects of it? rearrange. So I mean, KitKat has come out with this where you make a small KitKat, small shapes, and you actually put that into this. So you know what, this becomes a gifting box. This becomes whenever you go for a travel, you can have those small bites of KitKat. Whenever you don't want, you can just zip it around and then keep it as it is. So it will remain longer for in the refrigerator or wherever. You can eat it over a period of days or months or whatever. Now look at a beauty of this. If you apply a scamper, one simple product of KitKat, how different ways we can imagine this product. That's the beauty. And so many different avenues have got open. So many different things have got open. So many things got eliminated so that the price can come down. So many different shapes, sizes, colors have come down. There are some additions which have come out. There are different ways of serving things have happened. There are product extensions that have happened, which is now serving a different segment altogether. And that is what Scamper helps you to do that. Look at a product from a 360 degrees from all the sides. Okay, I reiterate: substitute, combine, adopt, magnify, put to other use, eliminate, and rearrange. So if I take it away from this, and if I ask you, even in the sleep, you should be able to identify what this. Let's look at little in greater detail and find out our famous example of toothpaste and find out how this can be applied on a toothpaste. So for example, substitute. Okay, can I substitute toothpaste with a tooth foam instead of a toothpaste? Okay, typically I don't know, I mean, how many of you have observed for shaving, you have a shaving gel and you have a shaving foam. So gel you use and then you use along with water, so it creates a foam. Then somebody came up and said that why don't I sell the foam itself, so that this becomes a final product. Now that's the beauty of using this as a tooth foam. Substitute tube with it, you know, some kind of a dispenser, so that you put the tube on the tap, you press the button, and then it gets automatically dispensed. Very similar to what we saw as a squeezer kind of a thing. So this is how you can actually substitute. Can I combine, classic example, can I combine toothbrush with a toothpaste? Can I actually look at both these things together? Can I adopt this thing? So for example, a deo kind of a thing, can I actually build that? And you know, I can actually use this for cleaning teeth, or you know, the smell or the smear or the roll, something like that, so that you actually don't get into that bad odor. Also you can actually use it for you know, a great breath kind of a thing. So this is how it can be adopted. Again, a different way of looking at things, but this helps you to solve and problem and add stuff. I mean, this is something which we saw. How do I modify so that I can get a squeezer into this, and you actually give a roller along with the toothpaste. So whenever you finish the toothpaste, you keep rolling, and by rolling, you automatically squeeze that. So you have modified the product. You have given the product along with the squeezer and the roller itself. Put to other use. Can this be completely put to other use? For example, once you have an empty toothpaste, you know, this thing, tubes, can you actually reuse for this? Can you actually rebuild that or reshape or refill all those things? And then that becomes a completely different thought process altogether. How do you do that? Okay, eliminate some of these things. I mean, for example, most of the toothpaste, if you go and see in a shopping mall kind of a thing, come in a carton kind of a thing. Can you eliminate those cartons by using smart packaging, so that you eliminate that entire cost and obviously environment friendly, and then you can actually ship it, dispatch it. So whenever we buy say 10 toothpaste together, we don't actually get into plastic, we actually get a complete cover around it. Okay, and reverse or rearrange to this. So for example, normal toothpaste mechanism, by using simple cardboard boxes, and easier to recycle and zero wastage. So using a cardboard, you can actually use this, so you eliminate plastic completely out of it, and then you can do that, a completely reverse kind of a mechanism. I mean, you open that sachet, get the tube, and then you close it, and that's about it. So you don't need those tubes, plastic tubes kind of a thing. So look at the power of Scamper, which has actually helped you to look at product in a different dimension. A simple product like a toothpaste, or a simple product like a KitKat that we looked at, but it has helped you to now look at in different shape, size, format, use, and what all things can add, what all things that I can delete. And this has opened so many ideas for us to use. Okay, that's why I call Scamper as a very powerful tool for innovation, particularly product innovation. Take a base product and then work on that base product, and then keep on adding so many things. And when you're doing this, I mean, there are certain things that we should follow, and let me just go back to that, how you should do that. So while using the Scamper, most important is apply Scamper only in the product, but you actually can apply this into other aspects like product delivery or product purchase, process and all that stuff. You can do that so that you can build that experience also differently. I mean, just as example, can I apply Scamper to entire pizza delivery mechanism? Yes, I can do that. Then I look at pizza creation, pizza delivery, billing, or a payment kind of a thing. I can look at all these things and keep on substitute or combine, modify, reuse, adopt, and all that stuff. So that's the beauty of Scamper. Many innovators use Scamper to come up with enhancements in the product features and the functions, give additional benefits to the user. I think that's the core. I mean, we have to, at the end of the day, we have to analyze whether this is adding value to the user or not, or is it reducing the pain for the user. If the answer to this yes, then that is something which is good. But when you actually do a Scamper, typically if somebody asks me to do a Scamper on a chair, what I would do is I can break the chair into components. For example, seat, on the horizontal axis you see seat, backrest, legs of the chair, neck rest, hand rest. These are all components. And on the left hand side, I put Scampers, and then go to each of the box and start looking at what all I can do. For example, in legs, can I combine legs with a wheel so that I can move the chair? I mean, that's available. So can I do that? Or can I have height adjustment levers at the bottom? Can I modify the lever so that I can lower the height of a chair, I can up the height of the chair. If the kid is sitting, it can be lower. Okay, now you have those kind of a thing. I mean, you can have those push chairs kind of a thing where it takes you up. But I can do that by adjusting the legs themselves. So all these things are possible. These are multiple ways of looking at it. Similarly, if somebody asks me to look at a notebook, I can break that notebook into components like front cover, back cover, pages, rim, or any such kind of a thing, and take each one of these things and start applying the product. So your Scamper chart is a chart of 7 boxes on this, and depending upon multiple this thing. So if you, let's say, have 5 components, then 7 into 5, 35 boxes that you get. And each of these 35 box, even if you get one idea, you practically get 35 different ideas of improving this product. Now that's the power. 35 different, I mean, even if you, let's say, don't get answer to all the boxes, if you get, let's say, 25, you get 25 good ideas of changing and adding the benefit to the user, reducing their pain, creative ideas which can put the product to the other use. All that stuff can be possible. Enhancing the product benefit to the user is something which is possible, and that really makes Scamper really powerful tool. Some of the rules when you use Scamper, I think the most important thing is come up as many ideas as possible. So it doesn't mean that in one box you have to write one idea. You can come up with 3-4 ideas into leg of a chair and a combine. I can come up with 3 ideas, and put to other use I can come up with 2 ideas. Okay, and then each of these box. When you are looking at this idea, go as stupid as possible. There is nothing like a stupid idea. Come up with, whether it will happen, whether it will not happen, God only knows. While putting the idea, just put that idea. People may call it rubbish, stupid, idiot, but that's perfect. Don't think at that point of time when you're coming up with the idea that whether it will work or not. Idea is the essence. Put that. Keep user in mind when you're doing that. I mean, don't look at it in abstract. I mean, I can say, the chair can fly, but I mean that's not possible, right? So keep the user. What user needs is the most important thing. Whatever user will need, build from that perspective. So that becomes your center point of discussion. And if possible, draw parallels from other products, industries, geographies. So if you're doing something in chair, you can actually look at the desk or a bed and combine something like that. That how do I get a comfort in a chair? Okay, so this is something which you can modify. So be crazy. Don't look at this. Quantity is more important than quality. Keep the user in mind, because that is something which is very important. We all this exercise we are doing for the user, and if you can draw parallels from other industries, fantastic. That's what you can do. Okay. Again, reiterating: scamper, substitute, combine, adapt, modify, put to other use, eliminate, and reverse or rearrange. And by this time, it would have been almost hit on your mind. Even if I ask you in sleep, you'll be able to know what the scamper mean. And each of these things, how beautifully that can be used for modifying the product. Okay. But once we do that, that's not the end. Okay. We have come up with crazy ideas. Now, out of all these 30, 40 ideas, are all these ideas workable? All these ideas desirable? Maybe not. I mean, while we build those ideas, now let's evaluate all these ideas and find out what is more meaningful to the user, what is more palatable to the user, and what is that will add benefit to the user. So in all these 30, 40 ideas that you get, then let's start screening that what is that idea and what is the distinct benefit it is giving to the user. So these two things we should be able to articulate very clearly. Idea without a benefit to the user is meaningless, because otherwise it's of no use. It has to ultimately give a benefit to the user. The toothpaste squeezer is giving me a benefit. The pizza lifter scissor is giving me that benefit. So that has to give me a distinct benefit. And then on the right hand side, you will see three important yardstick, a quick measurement of things is: one, how desirable this is. Every idea is good, but desirability from a user point of view, is it like okay kind of a thing, or it is like wow, superb, I need this? On a scale of 0 to 10, how desirable, how feasible according to you this is? Idea, coming up with an idea is great, but do you think this is feasible? You can come back and say the notebook should be gold plated. Is it feasible? Will people buy it? It's not desirable. It will look very nice if I have it gold plated, but that's not needed, right? So how feasible it is and how desirable it is. And the last and the most important thing also is to understand a value premium. Now, what do you mean by value premium? Value premium is whether user will give you additional money for this kind of a idea. Fairly simple. So for example, if the notebook is 40 rupees, if I add a color pages into it, so that it looks quite colorful and I can have sections kind of a thing, will they pay me 45 rupees? Then it has really added 5 rupees. Okay, then that makes sense. Okay, so most of the times when we look at desirability, we always, because we are the originator of idea, we always feel, this is something which is fantastic, this is my idea, what a powerful idea that I have come up with. But when you start building a value premium, then you realize, what, user will not pay this much money. If I would have been a user, I would not have paid. And be very very conscious about it, and very straightforward, truthful about it. Don't judge, oh no, people will pay. It doesn't happen. If most of the time you should go back to other users and ask that, I have this feature, will you pay for this? Will you pay that incremental money? And what is that premium? Is it like 10%? So if it is 40 rupees, will they pay 44 rupees? Will they pay 48 rupees? In that case, it's 20%. Will they pay 80 rupees, which is like 100% jump? Will they pay 60 rupees, which is like 20 rupees extra, which is 50% premium? What is that premium? Quantify that, because that quantification really helps. Because that quantification really helps you to identify whether people will pay and what additional premium that will pay. So if you build that idea, if you build that benefit and look at desirability, feasibility, and a value premium, then you will be able to understand how good that idea as far as the user is concerned. There are a few more complications, but in interest of time, we have a desirability, feasibility, and viability chart and all. But I'm not getting into those details at this point of time. I want you guys to only focus on desirability, feasibility, and a value premium. If you can articulate that from the user point of view, voila, you understand what user needs. Okay, and out of all 30, 40 ideas that you have got from, you'll be able to bring out 4, 5, 6, maybe 10 ideas that have great ideas, they have a distinct benefit, have a high desirability, high feasibility of doing that. It's fairly easy to do. And what is the premium that people will pay? There will be some premium, it can't be zero. Okay, if you actually can articulate that, then that becomes a nice articulation of your scamper ideas. So I repeat, go to the scamper, go crazy, don't think about ideas, come up with 30, 40 ideas. At that time, don't think about desirability, feasibility and all. Just come up with ideas. Once you come up with the idea, then go back to them, understand what that idea is and what is the distinct benefit that they're giving. Start quantifying that benefit into desirability, feasibility and a value premium that they'll give. And if you can build this, then your scamper work is complete. Okay, so that actually brings us to the end of the learning session. I hope you love scamper technique, because that is my personal favorite. Most of the times we use that. Most of the times when we actually talk to student about it, they go gaga about it, and I have seen many of our students using that not only for these challenges but even in a day-to-day life. And over a period of time, when you look at a product, immediately these things start coming to your mind. So it no longer becomes a paper exercise. The moment you look at a product, you can say, oh, I can combine something here, I can adapt, I can put to other use, I can reverse, I can adapt. Okay, don't worry much about whether really it's modification or it's adaptation. I mean, semantics are not important. If you believe it's a modification, put it in modification. If you believe it's a adaptation, then put it in adaptation. If you believe it's substitute, do that. Whether it is technically substitute or uh, uh, modification and all, I think we are not getting into semantics. As long as we get all the ideas on this, ideas coming, bringing ideas is important. Whether it comes through substitution, whether it comes through modification, it doesn't matter. Use these charts, work on those ideas. So typically, if I would have been in your place, I can take these products, I can build these camper charts, and I come up with lots of ideas, and then start picking up some of those ideas who are having better benefits, and start measuring them on desirability, feasibility, and value premium. So with that, let me jump into the last and the most important section, that what to submit and what to expect. Okay. So here we go. So what, as I said, build a scamper on any one or more stationary item. I think it's completely left to you. If you can do it on all the 4 products, fantastic. In the interest of time, if you want to just do on 2 products, that's also okay. But do this scamper, work on it, build that chart. If you are doing more than 1 product, then naturally it will be 2 different scampers or 3 different scampers. Build as many ideas and all. My gut feeling, if I would have been in your place, I would put 4 charts and do scampers. When you are doing 1 scamper, just focus on notebooks. Complete that exercise, then go on drawing books. Complete that exercise, then go on pencils or whatever, and then canvas. Don't jump around, I'll write here and then write here. That doesn't work. Just focus on 1 product. Focus from a user perspective. Okay? And then that is something which will help you to understand those finer problems, and then come up with those ideas for solving those kind of problems. Okay? Come up with 30, 40 ideas. So theoretically, you have 20, 30 ideas on a notebook scamper, about 20 ideas on drawing book, another this thing. So you have 80 different ideas on 4 scampers. I mean, that's the power of ideas that you have. Where will you get these ideas? Okay, go through this exercise. Once you get all these ideas, then add all your ideas into the Google form that has been attached in the mail which you would have seen. Okay, we want minimum 3 and maximum 10. I mean, to qualify for this, give at least minimum 3, otherwise you will not be able to submit the form, and maximum 10 because we don't want more ideas. So out of whatever 30, 40, 50, 80 theoretical ideas, you have to pick up your 10 best ideas, and on those 10 best ideas there will be questions written on the Google form, a brief description of our idea, what benefit that idea is giving, and then your desirability score, your feasibility score, and your value premium that you will get. So you will get a scale on that. You have to rate that between 0 to 10, 0 to 10, and 0% to 100%. And then that's one idea. And then work on a second idea and a third idea. And you can go on till about 10 ideas. If you come up with 10 ideas, brilliant, super, fantastic, fantabulous. But if you minimum, at least you'll have to come up with 3 ideas. You can come up with 5, 6 and all. I completely leave it to you, because you can't give a target on creativity. That's the last thing that's possible. Done? Makes sense? Okay, so once you submit this form, the last date for submission of this form is 10th of October 2021, naturally. And once you submit these ideas, please stick to the deadline, because we won't be able to extend the deadline. We get lots and lots of entries, and then it becomes very difficult. So if you have great, fantastic idea but comes on 11th October, we are very sorry. Now I am contradicting myself. You can't put time limits to ideas, because idea can come on 11th October and 12th October. But unfortunately, that's the process. So we have to close this at some point of time. So we are putting artificial cut on 10th of October. We'll take about 15 days where we'll work with a corporate, that Navneet in this case, and go through each and every idea and find out what ideas make sense. And then naturally we'll announce prizes on 25th of October, top 3. But we'll also create a group of say 20, 25, depending upon what corporate wants. And if there are good ideas, we can make a focus group and make this group of 20 people to work on those ideas and take it to the next feature. That's where we actually can work on a design thinking and how products and features are built in the product using empathy based ideation techniques. So that is something which we will do. That's a great opportunity for people like you. I think you should just grab that opportunity if you get that. And obviously results will be at a discretion of the company. So meanwhile, I think once you've gone through this, go back to the email, uh, take hold of that Google form, write that down. I mean, of course, you do a scamper, and then you do this desirability, feasibility, and all, and then come up with your top 10 ideas, or top 6 or top 8, but minimum top 3, and then go to the Google form, start filling. Of course, there are some user insight questions which have been asked to understand how you have come to this kind of a conclusion. So that's our way of understanding how you have come up with. Answer those questions, put those ideas, submit the form before 10th of October. Until such time, as I said, the BTS is a continuous process. We keep coming up with multiple challenges. This time it's Navneet, next time it will be a different company. And as I said, the prize, the recognition, and all these things are one part. But the second part is the tools that you learn. I mean, in this case, you learn scamper technique of ideation, very powerful tool. Next time, for a different problem, the learning will be curated differently. You will get some other tool. So if you attend, say, 7 or 8 or 10 or maybe more than that BTS challenges, you'll be able to understand lots and lots of tools. Whether you win those prizes or whether you win those gadgets and all, that's secondary. But primarily, you get all these tools. You understand how entrepreneurs work. You understand how innovator works. You understand how product designer works when they build that. You understand how brand guys work, and some case studies would be on challenges would be on brand and marketing. Some of them will be on finance. So you'll be able to really understand the world, the ecosystem. So I think that you should be a regular attendee of this BTS. Win the prizes for by all means. Even if you don't win prizes, don't lose your heart out, because you are learning lots and lots of tools which you'll use throughout your life, and that is something which will make you richer in terms of being an innovator, being a creator, being a designer, and being an entrepreneur. So let this journey of creative thinking not end with this BTS. I think make this as a starting point. Use this I chance to work on many things, win these prizes, and work on many BTSs, so that you get many tools of working on it. So with that, let me come to the close of today's session. I really enjoyed personally this session, and I hope each one of you have enjoyed there. Naturally, you have learned something new today, I presume, and that is something which you can use in solving not only BTS Navneet case, but rest of ideation and innovation. So with that, thank you very much, and don't miss submission before 10th of October, because we are so eager to actually see your ideas, and more than us, Navneet is so eager, because all of us sitting here believe that the power of idea lies in you. We are only the facilitators, or people who are empowering you to use tools and do that, and let that creativity unleash, and let's use that for the benefit of all of us, the society. So thank you very much once again, and do submit your answers, and bye. Take care.